Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I want to talk about a couple of things here, I guess, with Comic-Con, but I also do want to get into the Q&A. So definitely make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all of my Walking Dead content like this. The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 3 is airing in 24 days from now, so it's literally like, it's going to be here in just over 3 weeks, and it's going to fly by. I feel like summer's almost over now at this point. Like, I've been seeing Spirit Halloweens opening up and stuff, so I'm just like, okay, well, I think that it's, yeah. Which honestly, for me, I haven't really done much this summer, so I'm okay with that. I'm really more in the Halloween spirit right now, so I think that's totally fine. I'm just waiting for a lot of the pumpkin spice stuff to actually come out, and I believe it's going to be in like the next 2 weeks. But anyways, my point is fall's going to be here right away. The Walking Dead's about to be back, and yeah, I'm very excited. So the first thing that we did learn actually today is that The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 3 is going to be at New York Comic Con. And so I was wondering about this because, the other day we learned that, because obviously The Walking Dead is going to be at some event, I believe a couple of days later. And so it's supposed to be like this really big event for The Walking Dead in general, talking about, I guess celebrating mostly the last 15 years of the franchise, and also I guess talking about the future and stuff. So people were like, well, this is pretty big, like everyone that's going to be there, it's like, well, are they really going to be at New York Comic Con, right? But it looks like actually, yeah, they are going to be at New York Comic Con. And so the details that we have here is that The Walking Dead will be there on Friday, October 10th at 8:30 to 9:15 p.m. So that's Eastern Standard Time, obviously, because it's in New York. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this event. I believe at this event it'll be, I guess, before episode 6. So there's going to be episode 6 and 7, obviously, right? So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Like, we'll probably get footage there, I'm imagining, from that episode. There'll be like a teaser, a trailer, a scene, something like that, teasing, obviously, like the next episode. I doubt there will be anything there for the finale because that's just kind of spoilery or whatever, right? But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And I will say, just, on that, I really do hope that The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, I really hope that when season 3 airs that there's nothing that like comes out about the rest of the season and all that, because that ruined season 2. It really did. Like, it was something that honestly a lot of the events that happened afterwards could have been a lot more exciting, and I think people would have viewed those moments maybe differently if everyone was watching week to week, right? And like just seeing all the big crazy moments happening, but everything released or whatever. And I think it was because of, I could be wrong, but I think the whole season just came out randomly, I believe in France or something like that. Like there was some mistake anyways. And yeah, it just kind of ruined it for the rest of the season. And so, to me, looking at the ratings for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 2, you can't really look at the ratings for that because yeah, that happened. And that was just like, that was definitely really unfortunate. And I hope that doesn't happen again, because it was just, yeah. But let's get into the Q&A here. I do want to answer your guys' questions here on The Walking Dead, I guess just in general, or just anything in general. So Q&A, do you think we will get Old Man Rick type thing, kind of like from season 8? See, the thing about the Old Man Rick thing is it would be really cool to actually get that at some point. I feel like we will. Like, I do feel like we will see that at some point, like, in the future, because even though that future didn't really make a lot of sense, and it is really funny when you look back at that scene, like, all the other characters weren't that much older. I feel like Judith is older now than she was in that Old Man Rick scene, right? So, I mean, they aged Rick so much, but, I think the way that you can kind of look at the scene is that Rick was more dreaming about the future, like, oh, he's going to be an old man and everything's going to be very peaceful, and he could look back at his life and be like, oh, this is like awesome kind of thing, right? So I think, and that's the really interesting thing, because I remember, and I could be wrong about this, I'm trying to go based off of memory, but I feel like Negan was actually in that scene and he was actually helping out the community and stuff. And I know that that's eventually what happened, but Rick never saw that. So I do think if all the characters, or when they all reunite, that is something that I think Rick would be very happy about. I really do feel like eventually, like, he will be like, yeah, you know what, that's awesome or whatever. And I mean, it's really crazy, but I do feel like all the characters are going to be pretty much fine with him. I'm trying to think of a character that would have an issue. Like Daryl, seemed to be pretty good with him by the finale. And, I'm looking at like other characters. The only character was Maggie. And Maggie just kind of got over everything, I would say, in the season 2 finale. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I do think we will get something like that. Like, I still do think that whenever the next like series comes out or whatever it's going to be, I do think that Rick or Daryl will die. I really do believe it's going to happen, just because it makes a lot of sense. Like, you do want to tell a final story where things are just really crazy like that. And like, the characters are just all here. Like, to me, it makes sense that like one of those characters are going to die. If I had to pick a character to die, I would say Daryl for sure. But It's one of those things where I think if you're AMC and like, say you end that whole thing and you're looking to the future, like, you know, with the next generation spinoff and all that, I think you look at both of the characters and you're like, well, which actor is most likely to come back? And obviously it would be Norman Reedus, right? So I feel like in that sense, it makes a lot more sense to kill Rick off. But yeah, I don't know. Q&A, have you watched the final season of Squid Games? And if so, how would you feel if The Walking Dead ended in a similar fashion? Do you think Gimple / AMC would be able to do that after what happened, I guess, with Glenn? Yeah, like, I think that's the thing about that is, I think back in the day, I mean, the last couple of years, maybe they wouldn't have done something like that. But I think The Walking Dead is now in a point where it's like, no, you got to do more of that. Like, I think they were very safe with a lot of the characters for a very, very long time. And now with all the spinoffs, like, obviously they are kind of safe as well because, like, they're not going to die in season 1 or 2 of their spinoff, right? Like, if they're going to die at all, it's going to be in the very last season. But they want to reunite all the characters, so it's not going to happen. I think that, like, I don't know the ending of Squid Game, but I'm just going to assume maybe a character dies or something like that because you mentioned the thing with Glenn. So, like, say it's a lead character or something like that. I think that if they were to kill off Rick or something, and I guess I was just kind of talking about this, I think it's totally fine, honestly. Like, the characters have been around for a very long time. I just want a really epic story, you know, told. And that's kind of why I don't want it to be just like one season. Like, maybe 4 seasons, that would be amazing. Even 2 seasons. I really just want an epic story, like 10 episodes, just film the final moments of, you know, what's going to happen here. Build up this really epic, amazing story. This way, you know, if say you did like 4 seasons, or say it's even 2 or 3 seasons, or just whatever it's going to be, just having characters like Dwight or Morgan or, you know, whoever showing up randomly in like season 2, 3, 4, or 5, like, you can build up really awesome moments and end everything in a very amazing way. The only issue with that, I would say, is like you have to come up with like arcs, and there would be different arcs. It would be a whole other TV show again, which is, you know, something that I don't see Andrew Lincoln wanting to do because he did a TV show for a long time, right? So I think if anything, it's going to be one of those things where it's like 2 seasons kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know. Like, that's what's really interesting about the future of everything is like they want all the characters to reunite, but they're likely going to want the characters to keep going on and having other stories. But do you just reunite everyone together to get Rick, you know, with all of them, and then you end that storyline, and then after you do something else with the characters? That's what I don't really get right now. But yeah, I'll have to wait and see. Q&A, do you think we will ever hear Rick's theme, Space Junk, again? Also, if you could help Gimple come up with a reunion story or a new series, would you, and would Rick return as the #1 protagonist? Well, yeah, totally. If Gimple was like asking my help, I'd be like, okay, like I don't know if I could help, but like I will try. I think I have some good like thoughts on certain things, but yeah, that would be really interesting. I think for Rick to return as yeah, he would have to be like, there's no way he could be on that show and not be like, everyone looks to Rick as the leader. It's kind of funny because that's what the characters do on the show, but that's also what we all do. Like, if Rick is there on the show, he's the leader, like, automatically. So even if you were to have it where he's like a background character, you know, he's living his life peacefully, but every other character is like, you know, they're the ones that are telling the story, I think Rick just being there would be way too distracting, and like everyone would be wondering like, when is he going to show up kind of thing, right? But then again, I think you could do that. I think that's also fine as well. But would Andrew Lincoln want to come back and play like a small role like that? I don't know. So with Space Junk, I don't know. I feel like that song, like that story and just that whole, you know, whatever, I feel like it's kind of done now because I think that was just for The Walking Dead. It was kind of an awesome beginning moment for Rick, and then it was an awesome ending moment. So at this point, I think it's kind of done. If they would have used it at all, again, it would have been in The Ones Who Live, but they didn't. So I think that was just kind of it. You know, I think both uses of the song were absolutely amazing. And I don't even know how they would use it again. So I would just say, I don't know as of right now, but I think likely not. Q&A, if they are thinking of doing a Next Generation Walking Dead show, do you think they could make variant walkers more prevalent? I think that would be absolutely amazing if they could actually have variant walkers in the story again, because I really liked what they were setting up there. I just don't like what they did with them in season 2. Like, of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, I just think that being more of a threat, like, you want the threat to be more the zombies and stuff. I know they always say, like, The Walking Dead, it's not about the zombies or the walkers or whatever, it's about the characters, and I do get that, but the thing that made The Walking Dead really interesting in the beginning was you had the walkers or whatever that was, like, really threatening, but it was how the characters responded to it. So that's how it became about the characters, because of that. And so you need those situations that are really scary. And the biggest thing is like survival, I feel like, with The Walking Dead. And I think that's why you need that, right? I think that's why the variant walkers were super exciting. It was like, whoa, this is going to change everything, right? And obviously we saw how that ended there. So yeah, I hope that we do get that. I think that that was absolutely incredible to see. And I hope that in the reunion show that there is more of that. Q&A follow-up question. Do you think that the 14-year estimate of the human's lifespan on Earth that Beale mentioned at the end of The Ones Who Live could start to play a role in any of the spin-offs or be explored in a Next Generation spin-off? I think that that is something that will come up at some point. I don't think that's just like done. Like, it's definitely going to come up at some point. That was a really big thing that was just like, there's no way that you can ever ignore that. I feel like when Rick returns, it's going to be something that is always going to be on the back of his mind. Like, and that's the thing. Did he tell anyone about that? I don't know if he did. Like, did he tell Michonne? Did he tell anybody? Because that is something that would be really interesting in like a next story, is like, Rick did that, but like maybe Beale was right. And so that's on the back of his mind. He starts to see supplies and everything just like running out and everything. And it's like, like maybe Beale was right about that, but he's just like, no, we got to keep fighting to survive. We keep everyone alive. But then he starts seeing resources really dying out. And that would be a really interesting, I think, place to start with the CRM story, because he's out there bringing supplies to everybody, right? Resources. He's helping the military do that. I feel like at some point, maybe they're running out of supplies, and it's like things are starting to look really, really bad, and communities are starting to completely, die out. And I think that would honestly be a place that I would go to, I think, with the show, is like, maybe, some communities, like smaller communities, are thriving, but to have the resources for all of that energy and everything, like, I feel like it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And also, Beale was mentioning the 14-year thing, but that was, based off of that current rate of how things were going, not based off of what Rick was doing with the CRM, where now he's like helping people. So I feel like if anything, it's going to be a lot sooner. Yeah, that would be a really interesting storyline. Just something where it's like you're bringing that up, and it's like, that could be how you get back to survival, because maybe places like the Commonwealth or wherever, they're starting to run out of resources now. And that's why we see communities like the Bricks and things like that, where it's like, I think it's just, yeah, honestly, it's going to be one of those things where they got to find some way to survive, I would say. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.